The Cincinnati Bengals, from an outside perspective, are a very fun team to root for. They have one of the most exciting, not only young quarterbacks in the NFL, but one of the most exciting young receivers as well. And add to it, these guys were teammates in college and were arguably the most dominant college football team of all time back in 2019 when they were at LSU. It's no surprise that the success Joe Burrow and Ja'Marr Chase had during what was both of their final years there has translated in big ways in the NFL in just their first year of playing together. But for as much fun as the Bengals are to watch, and as good as Joe Burrow has been for all of 2021, they are vulnerable, and we are going to not only discuss that in today's video, but discuss how we can fix that as well. So without further ado, let's begin. So first off, congratulations to the Bengals, Joe Burrow, on getting not only his first but also his second playoff win in the last few weeks, and of course the entire city of Cincinnati. It had been over 30 years since they won a playoff game, and it had been a very long last 4 or 5 years for the franchise. I would like to think the drought they had been in is now worth it these past couple weeks, as for the first time in a while, they have a true franchise quarterback and someone to genuinely get excited about in Joey B. And Joe has the swagger, the confidence, and the demeanor you want to root for. But for that calm, cool, and collected guy Joe is, and especially under pressure, the Bengals have to help him out before it is too late. Yes, the Bengals won last Saturday against the Titans by a score of 19-16, but within the game, opposing quarterback Ryan Tannehill threw 3 interceptions, and Joe Burrow was sacked 9 times. The point here is Joe has to get some help up front, or inevitably these connections to Ja'Marr Chase and to Joe Shiesty and every fun thing we have right now and love rooting for Burrow will be shortened. It's not always the best strategy to trade future picks for and to move way up in the draft for an offensive lineman, but I am in the camp now that the Bengals have to do something like this to move up for a prospect like a Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa. You'll hear not only myself, but countless other analysts rave about him for the next few months, and rightfully so. Linderbaum has a highlight reel for himself at the center position. That's extremely impressive in itself. And if you let him protect your franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow, then you'll be in very, very good hands for the next decade. Sure, the sheer cost may be a lot to go up and get a Tyler Linderbaum, but there's a reason he's touted as the best center prospect in at least the past 5 years. And when looking at the AFC Championship game this Sunday between the Chiefs and Bengals, there's a few things to look at. 1. The Bengals are underdogs and have nothing to lose. You're going into Arrowhead to play big bad Patrick Mahomes, and you are expected to lose. And quite frankly, I do think the Chiefs will win. How could you not? They handled the Steelers comfortably and at a point put up 35 points in an 11-minute span, and then last week did the unthinkable. They came back against Buffalo with 13 seconds and beat them in overtime. And for the people, by the way, in Southwest Ohio, here's something I want to say. Securing 2 playoff wins is never an easy accomplishment. You guys, of all people, know that, and this is your first AFC Championship game since 1989. So one thing I want to make clear is I'm not saying don't get excited, oh man, we're playing the Chiefs, we're going to lose. I'm not saying that or have that train of thought. But the Bengals beat the Raiders in what was, to the Raiders fans at least, a controversial way because of the whistle when Tyler Boyd scored, and to be clear, I think the Bengals were going to win that game no matter what, as I did not think Derek Carr was going to lead the Raiders into Joe Burrow's home and beat his Bengals. But Raiders fans were understandably grouchy after the playoff loss. And another train of thought I have regarding the 2021 Bengals is they went a combined 6-25-1 in 2019 and 2020. They had the 1st and 5th overall picks the following years. While this shocking AFC Championship run isn't a moral victory and we're just happy to be here in the eyes of both Bengals fans and players, It's insane how far they've come in a short amount of time, and what's crazy is, despite this big run, they've done it with a not great offensive line, and that's putting it kindly, and not great cornerback play outside of what was one of the best free agent acquisitions in Mike Hilton, who previously played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would admittedly be extremely shocked if the Bengals go into Arrowhead on Sunday and win, and I would also be the first to admit, hey, they proved me wrong, and give all the credit to Joe Burrow and Cincy in the world for going on the road twice to get to his first of, hopefully, many Super Bowls in what looks like to be a long and successful career. Heading into the 2021 season, I really thought Cincy would be a dark horse contender and on the brink of a wildcard spot. Contender, by the way, meaning, like I said, on the brink of a wildcard spot, maybe 9-8, 10-7. You know, we're just lucky to be here type thing, because ultimately Baltimore was coming off of a 2-year span where they won a combined 25-7, and unfortunately for them, they were hurt this year a lot. And Ravens fans, if there's any listening to a Bengals video, you guys know, hurt would really be an understatement. Now, the Bengals beat them at as healthy as Baltimore was going to get in 2021 back in Week 7 by a score of 41-17, then followed it up by losing to the Jets and Browns. And the playoffs are all about getting hot at the right time, and Cincy has done exactly that. I do think Joe Burrow is a great player and will be for some time, and I also think it's entirely plausible to think this may be the only AFC Championship game the Bengals reach in the next 2 or 3 years because of how loaded this conference is and the path they had this year. For Baltimore being as hurt as they were, they'll be back next year. The Chargers, you'd like to think, will be in the playoffs next year as well, which is a team that went into Cincinnati and won by nearly 3 touchdowns. And of course, if the Colts make the playoffs, because of their heavy run style with Jonathan Taylor, they are a team no one will want to play in January. And one thing I'd like to make clear in this video is I want the Bengals to do well, because as football fans, we expect to have a decade or so of 5 QBs in the AFC that are going to be insanely fun to watch and grow with their franchises. They, of course, are from the North, Burrow and Lamar. From the East, Josh Allen, and from the West, Patrick, who is already a Super Bowl champion, and Justin Herbert. And by the way, just because we have 5 doesn't mean a 6th like Trevor Lawrence or a 7th like Mac Jones can't be added. Now, the unfortunate reality is whenever things are projected like this, this far out, they rarely work, but I really hope this is the case. And ultimately, this weekend in Arrowhead, I fully expect the Chiefs to win, and I expect this to be a growing pain for the Bengals, because heading into 2021, we were talking about them potentially firing Zach Taylor, and is he the guy? And will Joe Shiesty ever become a great player with him as his head coach? It's crazy the conversations we were having back in August. And of course, who could forget, can Jamar Chase catch the football at the NFL level because there's no stripes on the ball? I sent out a tweet that said, I gotta be honest, I'm happy for the Bengals, but I could see them not getting back to the AFC Championship game for a few years after this year, and I'd like to think Bengals fans after this week, when the, by the way, completely understandable, after notching 2 playoff wins for the first time in 30 years, Kool-Aid drinking comes to a stop, the expectations moving forward will be tampered. We saw what Cleveland did in 2021 when those expectations were revved way up, and let me just go ahead and say this, Burrow is way better than Baker, but my point is, just because you make one deep postseason run one time does not mean you're entitled to that every year, and you will have to earn that shit. And we are 6 months removed from a team coming off of a 6-25-1 2-year span. The Bengals, like a lot of other current teams, have a bright future, and good for them. The league is in great hands when we have future Hall of Famers like Ben Roethlisberger, who did retire as I was making this video, and within the next few years, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers as well. I am eager as hell to see how the league plays out over the next few years. I truly think we're going to have a run like we had back in the 90s when the Bills lost 4 in a row, and Bills fans, I'm not saying you guys are doing that again. What I'm implying is the AFC this time instead of the NFC is more than likely going to win 4, 5, or 6 Super Bowls in a row, because who's going to consistently beat these teams that are loaded in the AFC? And one closing thought I have is this. Joe Burrow is a winner. He will win more than he loses, and over the past 3 years, minus a rookie season in which he tore his ACL, we've seen that. You don't see guys with this type of demeanor come around often, but when they do, you just know. Unfortunately for Joe, though, there is several other winners in the AFC, and I am very pleased with how much success the Bengals had this year, because it quickly went from the same old bungles to, oh man, we have something in here. And instead of a Burrow versus Carr or Burrow versus Tannehill next year, I really hope we get a Burrow versus Herbert, and then the winner of that, we get Burrow versus Allen. And that, of course, after we get a Burrow versus Mahomes this Sunday. And I can't wait to see how it plays out. And with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. And for Bengals fans, please know I want you guys to succeed. I'm not a hater of the team or anything like that. And I try to present information from a neutral perspective. And I hope you guys can respect that. And if you're still watching, I appreciate the time out of your day. And if you ever have a video suggestion, please let me know. And until next time, most importantly, be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.